Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Of course, my name is Lashawnda and
I'm the Mike.
And we are bringing you another video. So first of all, thank you so much for your support on our previous videos. They did way better than we anticipated.
Very positive, guys.
Yes, very positive feedback, very positive comments. So shout out to all y'all that, left us some love in the other ones. But we did get quite a few comments on Michael mentioning his alcoholism.
Alcoholism.
I always get that wrong. His alcoholism. And so we decided that today we would actually do a video on him basically sharing his experience. Because Michael likes to ramble, though, I have some questions because we done recorded this a couple times. But I'm going to ask him some questions that I know a lot of people are specifically curious about, things that I feel like people will be asking. This way, if you are in this situation currently and you are, interested in learning how to become sober or anything like that, then this video will hopefully help you with his experience. So, do you want me to just right off the bat ask you questions, or do you want to kind of start your experience?
No. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start my experience. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the triggers that actually caused me to go into alcoholism.
Okay.
I went through a divorce in 2009, and I had a son with my first wife. We went through a divorce. It was a bad divorce. Both of us, it was actually both of us that actually was the problem. But however, I went from seeing my son every single day to not seeing him every single day. It was very, very hard for me. And that year I was partying with friends and stuff like that because we were together for 5 years. So I was newly single and taking things hard. So partying was kind of like the only thing that was really, giving me a good time, that was kind of taking my mind off of what was going on. However, 6 months later, my mother dies of cirrhosis of the liver. She was actually making wings for me and a buddy of mine, and we went to go get a calzone from a place. And when we came back, the moment we walked in the door, my stepfather was sitting there screaming. She was dead on the ground. Now, at that point in time, that was probably one of the hardest moments in my life. From 2009 to 2016, I lost 11 family members, including grandparents, aunts, uncles. And in 2016, I wound up going through another divorce with my second wife. Now, my second wife I met a year after my mother's passing. We were together for 6 years, and then, of course, we went through a bad divorce as well. Kids were involved and stuff like that. She had 2 daughters, and I had my son. And so it was very rough, but, a lot of things led up to that divorce. Now, in my second marriage, I was actually drinking. Not much. It was more of a good time. It was more of a,
like a social drink.
Right, like a social, going out and having a good time. But I progressively started getting worse. I was actually drinking because I was stressed. I was drinking because I was avoiding confrontation with my wife at that point in time. And eventually I was hiding alcohol from behind her back. I was probably drinking like maybe a 6-pack of, regular beer or something at that point in time. But it was getting progressively worse. Ultimately, we wound up having a divorce. Now, when we got divorced, I actually got an apartment, moved in by myself. I was a canine handler at this point in time, so I had a great job, nice little apartment, but I couldn't stand the fact of not having family. So I was drinking, pretty heavily at this point in time. Now, at this point in time, I was having anywhere from 4 to 5 tall beers. I think it was Bud Light Platinums, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I started getting acquired taste for. Now, about 6 months into that, my father dies. I get a phone call from my little brother at 3 o'clock in the morning telling me Dad's not breathing. So I get in my vehicle and I rush over there, and Dad, of course, is dead on the floor, massive heart attack, and his alarm clock's going off for him to go to work. I don't really know how I handled that at that moment in time. I know that I told my little brother to go talk to my stepfather, and I will make all the phone calls and the arrangements, and I didn't want my little brother to have to deal with that. Now, when mom died back in 2009, my little brother was probably 10 or 11, something like that. And I had the officers keep him in the kitchen so he didn't get to see mom coming down in a sheet. Because the stairwell was so small that they had to bring my mother down in a sheet. And I didn't want my little brother seeing that. And when my dad died, I didn't want him to really have to deal with that either. So I kind of took that role as an older brother and made all the phone calls and the arrangements and stuff like that. It seemed like such a fast movement, though. Like, when he passed, all of a sudden he's cremated. Like, that's such a quick process. You don't even really get to process what's going on. About a week or two after Dad passed away, the realization of me not being able to call him, and the crazy thing is I talked to him the day that he passed away. We were laughing and everything on the phone, so it was very abrupt when this happened. But like I said, about a week or two later, when the realization was that I can't call my father, and he was my only support at that moment in time, that's whenever it plummeted down. At this moment, I started drinking probably 10 to 12 tall Bud Light Platinums, Four Locos, whatever could just numb me and put me down. Like, that's really all I did. And this was, 7 days a week. This was Saturdays and Sundays, and I couldn't seem to get it together. I just couldn't, because every time I would get sober, that's whenever I would start hurting, or I would start feeling, I guess, sadness and stuff like that. Do you have any questions?
I do. You've answered some of them, like what led you to alcohol. What does heavy drinking look like? You said you were drinking like pretty much every day.
Yeah, like, pretty much every day. For some reason, I never really got addicted to liquor like that. Every once in a while, I would have, maybe a shot or something, but for the most part, it was beer. I don't know why beer, Bud Light Platinum.
So, do you feel like during your, like, when you were heavily drinking alcohol, was it like to suppress emotion, or?
It was to suppress emotion, and it was also to kind of mask being alone. That was probably the loneliest I think I've ever been in my entire life. I've never experienced that because my parents were my support. Right. They were my safety net, my backbone.
Right. Yeah. I get that. Another question that I have is, what did you lose during your alcohol journey?
So, first and foremost, I lost my son. I lost the relationship I had with my best friend. I was so wrapped up in my feelings of my father passing away that I denied my son of a living father. And I didn't realize that till, next thing you know, it was 4 years later. It was, and still to this day, I still take it hard. Now, we're building a relationship back together. I talk to him all the time, and I go down there and see him, and I send him money for, to tell him, hey, I'm paying for lunch today and stuff like that. But losing my son, I think for me was probably, has definitely been the worst thing ever, because I was his hero. I was his everything. Yeah. And I was so wrapped up in myself that I like I said, I denied him a living father. And, but we are definitely fixing that now, so.
Don't do that. Don't make me cry.
Outside of that, I lost my job. I left it. I took an $8 an hour pay cut to work for airlines, and of course that didn't work out. And I was living from place to place. I lived on people's couches, lived in a hotel. I think I was in a hotel on two different occasions, which that was, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to offend anybody, but the hotel was such a lower vibrational place that finding alcohol or anything, if I was somebody that did drugs, that would have been an easy place for me to find it. Yeah. But alcohol was definitely an easy thing to find. So it was always just drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. And like I said, I was getting to a place where I was about to be homeless. So what wound up happening for me is I was at a friend's house, and I started feeling weird one night. We were drinking, and he decided to check my blood pressure. This is one of the things that started me on my road to recovery, or at least put me in a projection of wanting to get recovery. So I started feeling weird. He put a blood pressure cuff on my arm and checked my blood pressure, and it was 219 over like 164 or something like that. Scared me to death because, you know, Dad had a massive heart attack. So that petrified me. But I still was having issues trying to quit drinking. Eventually what I wound up doing was, you know, after you get put in the hospital a couple times, and I was put in the hospital quite a few times from drinking, I think the third or fourth time, my body was just like, Mike, we can't do this anymore. So I moved 4 hours away, went to rehab. I literally went to the hospital. I had drank like four Locos, which if you guys, any of you guys know Four Locos, that's bad. I probably had alcohol poisoning, I'm sure. They had me in a bed for like 10 hours with IVs and stuff on my arms, and they sent me to a rehab. I told them when I went to the hospital, I said, I submit myself. I have a problem. It was very hard for me to actually come out and say, hey man, I'm a full-blown alcoholic. I need help. But they got me some help. I was up there for about a year. I had family begging me to come back. And after about a year or so, I had family saying, yeah, you got a place to stay. Yeah, we'll get you a job, blah, 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 blah. This was like right before COVID was actually a thing. And so I moved back home. Nobody answers their phone. I don't have nowhere to go. I call one of my old friends that is an alcoholic. He let me stay with him. Now, when I stayed with him, where he lived at was a very lower vibrational place as well. There was a lot of drugs and stuff like that, alcohol. I was sleeping on the floor, the bed. There was a lot to it.
I kind of want to pause you.
Yeah.
So we have certain lingo that I feel like some people may not know what we're talking about. So can you tell them what low vibrational means?
So lower vibrational just means negative situations, negative people that don't have anything good for you or anything good to bring to the table, nothing to bring any kind of positivity into your life. That's what I mean by lower vibration. Or if I say lower vibrational people, that's what I mean by people that are, you know, that stay miserable or stay in drug or alcohol infested environment or something like that only brings the individual or themselves down.
Right, we use that term quite often, but I know some people may not know what that means, and so that's why I just wanted to kind of pause them, because I don't want people to think that it means something different than what it is. So
right.
You know, so that's why I'm like, let's just...
Right, and I don't want to offend nobody, because I'm telling you, I was a lower vibrational person.
Because you know how people like to tussle, so we just want to... But anyways, go ahead, babes, you good.
So anyhow, I wanted to get out of that environment because I was relapsing. And I moved into a hotel again. And what really sucked about moving into the hotel again is it was the same hotel. So I was drinking. I had just got my stimulus check. I had just gotten my income taxes. And I moved into the hotel room, which, let me tell you how cliche this is, right? I moved back into the same hotel room I lived in 2 years prior. So, right, I know. What are the chances of that? Anyhow.
Write down a question that I don't want to forget.
Okay. So anyhow, I moved back into the hotel, and I'm sitting there drinking, and I got my stimulus, and I got my income taxes. So I knew I at least had the next 3 months. I knew I had somewhere to live. After that, I was going to be homeless. Now, the places like rehab places and stuff like that in my hometown would not accept me because I'm from that hometown. They wanted you to go somewhere where it's not to make you relapse or anything like that. You like a new environment.
Do they? I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. I just find that very interesting. Like, do they at least give you a referral for somewhere out of?
Yeah,
like,
they tried to give me a referral, and I think there was
okay.
one referral for somewhere in Savannah, Georgia, but it was like $2,000. Of course, I don't have a job at that time.
Right.
I didn't have a car.
Okay. I was wondering, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much where I was. Now, about a month and a half into it, I'm not gonna lie, I was drinking, and I get a phone call from my stepfather, and I was drinking because I was stressing where I was gonna go and all that good stuff. But anyhow, I get a phone call from my stepfather saying, when your time is up at the hotel, you can come live with me and I'll get you a job and help you get on your feet. My only rule is you quit drinking. And I made a promise to my stepdad that day. I said, okay, I'll quit drinking now. And I did. I actually, I never picked it back up again. I put it down. I moved in with my stepfather. Now, the funny thing about moving in with him, however, was he had some people that lived there as well. Now, my stepfather, he doesn't do drugs or drink or anything. He's like a really good guy. I love him to death. But there was a couple people that lived in the house as well. They drank every single day, but they would drink out on the porch. Now, they offered it to me a couple of times knowing I was a recovering alcoholic. But I turned it down because I made a promise to him. And at this point in time, I just started seeing my son. And I was like, I'm not about to ruin this opportunity. So I stayed straight. I was so bound and determined to change the person I used to be and become somebody better that wasn't even an option. Yeah. Like I couldn't even fathom touching anything, you know.
Right.
So I actually kept it together, man. And I wound up meeting Lashawnda on internet, which, you know, and then she gave me an opportunity. So I guess one of your questions that you were asking me earlier today was actually what I had to do to change.
Oh yeah. What did you do to become sober? But you kind of started answering that.
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of started answering that, and now leading up to you were at your stepdad's.
Okay.
And you met me. So he met me about I don't remember how far you were in your sober journey when you met me.
So I was 6 months sober when I met Lashawnda. I was without a vehicle. I was without a job. I didn't have anything. But I did tell her. And,
he did.
And
that's one thing I'll give Michael. He definitely told me from the jump.
Yeah.
He did. And I don't know, like, so from my perspective, when I started talking to Michael beforehand, I feel like I kind of mentioned this in a previous video, but I'm not sure. But I had kind of started a manifestation journey with my perfect partner, my soulmate, things like that. And he didn't like lay it all on me at one time. Like, don't get me wrong, we had a first conversation. He was like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was like, we just hit it off so good. And he was like instantly saying things or bringing up things where I'm like, dang, like, that's interesting. You know, like I had kind of had that on my list, you know, of things that I was trying to manifest in my partner. And when he told me the things that he had experienced and where he currently was and things like that, I kind of looked at Michael as a diamond in the rough. Like, he's a little rough around the edges, but there was great potential if I would give it a chance. And you know, there are certain situations where, you know, especially coming from women, like a lot of women normally would be like, girl, you better run, like, don't even mess with that. And you know, I kind of had that urge in the back of my head, but it was something about Michael where he just showed such this fire and potential to become a better version of himself. And I actually saw it put in action the moment we met, because he told me, he was like, look, you know, I know I'm staying with my stepdad. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. But if you give me a chance, I will show you that I could do this and like change all this around. Within like, I want to say within the first week of us talking, he had a job. You know, within the first month or so, he had a car. Yeah. You know, we did start off as long distance, but he just, I don't know, it was just something about him that made me want to be supportive for him. And I'm going to tell y'all, look, God gave me a special type of patience for Michael, because I ain't never been as patient with a dude like I have been with Michael. And I don't mean like in the alcohol, this is kind of like going over, but I don't just mean in that area. I mean like something was keeping us connected to each other, like on a spiritual level. And if you're not spiritual, then this part ain't for you. Okay, but we're spiritual, and you know, there were certain signs where God was like, nah, this is the one for you right here. Like, I just need you to be patient with him. I need you to, you know, kind of do your little thing and, you know, get him where I want him to be. And so I think that's why we click so well, because we kind of, I don't know the word that I'm looking for. We mesh. Thank you. We mesh really well together, and I understood his journey. And instead of me like running away and being like, "Oh no," like I made the decision to give you a chance, and I'm glad I did, because the version of Michael that I'm experiencing now, like, is beyond a blessing. Beyond a blessing. You know, it's like tenfold. You know, and it's hard for me to imagine him. Like, when he tells me about his past, it's really hard for me to see that in him, because, you know, just the things that I see in him and the potential I see in him and the things that he does on a day-to-day basis, you know, it's like night and day, if that makes sense. I do want to ask you a question that I wrote down earlier, because I didn't want to forget, because this is something that you have said, you know, you sprinkle here and there just in our conversations. How did God show you that he had his hand on you during your journey with alcohol?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I hadn't asked you that, but you've definitely talked about it before. Like certain things that he did to let you know, like, I got you, I'm here.
So I had gotten baptized whenever I think my last year of alcoholism. I got baptized. I wanted to get myself together. My son was there crying, and I wanted to feel God's presence in my life. So when I left and I went home, there was a Bible note on my door. I still to this day don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had a Camaro. The very next morning, I got up, and it's on the Bible station. I don't change my channel ever. So it was little things like that was happening. Or I would have anxiety attacks. Anybody that has PTSD will definitely know where I'm coming from. I would have like anxiety attacks, and there would be something that'll say faith, or there'll be a cross or something like that would, you know, appear somewhere. Little things like that, I think, is what made me realize that God had his hand in the mix.
Yeah. Another question that I have, you answered, what did you do to become sober? Yeah. What advice would you give someone who's currently dealing with a issue with alcohol or whatever, and they desire to become sober? Like, what are the very first steps that you would recommend for someone in that situation?
I'm going to be really blunt on this, because this is exactly what I did. I moved. I went to a place where I didn't know anybody. I came up here. She was the only person I knew up here. I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know how to get to the store. I didn't know nothing. But I cut off all relationships that were toxic. I didn't care if it was family, friends, who it was, it didn't matter. If they were a trigger for me in my addiction, they had to go. No matter what. No matter how much I love them. I've had friends for 20 years, had to cut them. I've had family my whole life, had to cut them. Anybody that was trying to get me to drink, knowing I was a recovering alcoholic, watching everything that I lost, that's not good. You know, if you have people in your life that's like trying to say, no, do this. When you're trying to get yourself together, you got to really take that in consideration. Like, this person is no good for me.
Right. They're not for you.
Right. It's almost like they enjoy watching you be destroyed, and that's not going to happen. So my advice is, you need to cut off people, places, and things that are trigger points for you. When I moved up here and didn't know anybody, I was able to start a new life. I didn't have the whole judgment of everybody that's known me my whole life. I didn't have the pressure from the people from my old life. Nothing. And it's been great. It really has. I haven't had any kind of wants or desires or anything other than I want to take my testimony and help out other people. And I'm not going to lie, I absolutely love you. I really do. She's been a great support, and I'm so glad that, you know, we were able to be put together. I really am.
Because that's my baby and stuff.
Most definitely. Is there anything else you need to say?
It's not on here. It's not on my thing, but okay. I do have a question.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to say the wrong. Is it an AA meeting? AA meeting?
AA.
AA. Do you feel that was helpful? What do you feel out of all the things that you did? What do you feel like really helped you, like, stay? And was that helpful?
Okay, so I can only speak on personal experience on this because I don't want to say that AA was good or AA was bad.
Right.
AA is good for a lot of people. However, for me, it wasn't good because I didn't like the consistent bringing up alcohol all the time. The talk of alcohol all the time only made me want more alcohol. That was the problems that I was having. Now, up here, the reason why I haven't had a thought or anything like that is because it's just not even it's not a thing. I don't party. I don't care to party, so I don't go out to clubs and all like that. And we stay busy. Like, I'm either in the gym or I'm either at work or we're doing something with the kids or something like that. But we're really busy a lot. But I would say for me, I didn't get a good benefit out of it, but that was just me. Now I've seen it work for a lot of people, and so of course, like I said, I'm not gonna bash it at all. Because I'm all for whatever works for you. If it helps you and it makes you get yourself together, then by all means, please do it. But what I will say is one thing though, man, is you gotta want it. Because if you don't seriously want it, it's not gonna happen. I was praying and crying for a couple of years through my alcoholism, wanting it, and eventually when I finally seized the opportunity, I did go for it, but it was because I wanted it. It really was. Because the first 2 years, I've had people try to help me the first 2 years I did have people try to kind of help me, but I didn't want it. I actually wanted to be numb. So it actually took my, I guess, self-awareness of me actually needing to and wanting to quit is what really caused me to sort of go down that road of coming out of it. But it wasn't a quick journey, guys. I mean, and it's not. It's a day-by-day thing. It took me a while, but eventually it happened. And if it happened for me, it can definitely happen for you. So anybody that's watching this, if you have any kind of addictions or anything like that, and you feel like all is lost, it's not. It really isn't. If you have any questions, please, leave it in the comments. I don't know if there's anything I may have lacked saying or anything I didn't, put out there for you guys, but I really, really hope this helps. And I'm kind of glad that, this all kind of got brought out because it's the first time publicly that I've kind of really...
This is the very first time he's really sharing his experience and his story on a public platform. So guys, be nice. Be nice, okay? But I had another question that I wanted to ask you when you were talking, and then it just went out the other side. Okay, so while I'm trying to remember that one, I do have another question.
Okay.
So for people, or for someone who may have a spouse or a family member or somebody who is dealing with, struggling with alcohol addiction, do you have any advice that you would give them as a support system, or like anything that you feel like they could do to kind of help the situation, or what not to do to,
Man, that is such a tricky question because it really kind of relates back to the person's got to want to quit.
Right.
I would say, I guess for me, if I was dealing with another family member that was going through what I went through, I wouldn't give them money. Like, I wouldn't enable them to be able to continue. However, having said that, it's hard to really answer that question because you need to be supportive, but you don't need to be, enabling.
Too supportive.
Right. And if the person doesn't want to quit, because I've tried to help the guy that I moved in with, the first house I moved in with, I tried to get him help, and he didn't want it. Yeah. And there was really nothing I can do if they don't want it. So I don't really know how to answer that question.
Okay. I was just curious because I know in certain situations, maybe something that really kind of gives the opposite result of what you're trying to do. Because, you know, someone that has a family member or a loved one or something that's dealing with that, you want to be supportive, but, you know, sometimes you may not really know how to be supportive in that type of situation. Because at the end of the day, like you said, they have to want it for themselves. So it's kind of one of those type of situations. So, and
it's not, you know, and the thing is, guys, is one of the things I had to come to realize is I had to learn to love myself. I had to learn to realize it's okay to admit you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I had a lot of growing up to do. I had failed a lot of relationships, friendships, and stuff like that because I was a problem in a lot of it. I was very selfish. I was very immature. It took me a long time to grow up. Having said that, though, life is hard. It's not easy. You know, you lose loved ones, you lose spouses. I've got a guy I work with right now, and he watched his wife die in the bed beside him. And, you know, it's not easy. It really isn't. But don't ever think that you're alone. My problem was I thought there was nobody. There's always somebody. And if you don't have anybody, comment.
Yeah.
Because I got nothing but love and support. I mean, I've went through it. And I got through it because God brought me out of it. And I would say that if you have a family member or a friend that you can't, or you're trying to support and try to help bring out of it, and you can't, then by all means, hit your knees and pray. Do you remember your last question?
No, but I had a new one in there.
This girl.
I have a very bad memory. Girl. Okay, I remember. I don't know if it was the other question, but I do have another question. Michael, now that you're sober, I remember what the other question was. Okay, so first question, and I'm going to say them both so I don't forget. First question, how long have you been sober now? Because it's February, I don't know the exact date, February something in 2022, the date of this video. And where are you going now? Like, what are you looking forward to? What are you working on now? Like, I know you got this weight loss journey going on. Like, talk about that kind of stuff, but then also tell them how long you've been sober.
Okay, so I've been sober for a little over 2 years now. And currently right now what I got going on, because I'm not going to lie, everybody, it's expensive up here. So
we're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, so we're really trying to get ourselves in a financial bracket to where we can actually use our pockets to bless other people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of our journey right now. But what I got going on right now is I'm starting a weight loss journey. And of course, you guys are going to see it on the video because I'll be getting skinnier and all that good stuff. And then I'll talk more about my weight loss journey. I gained a lot of weight whenever I was alcoholic. And then, of course, when I quit being alcoholic, I quit smoking cigarettes.
Which, he did.
Of course, led me to eat. And I wound up gaining some even more weight than what I already gained from, you know, the alcohol. So what I'm doing now, though, is I want to get into like motivational speaking. I want to get to a place where I can actually use my testimony to help out other people, to save other people. And eventually, our dream is eventually to have startup homes for people that are trying to start over. Yeah. So that's kind of our goals for our life.
Yeah.
And
I can't wait to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
To do the startup home, or what do we call it? Well, we're not going to say it on here because don't be trying to, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, but anyhow, no, so that's kind of where we're at right now. I just go to work every day and like just recently started going to the gym every day and trying to just get myself together so that I can be the best version of a father to my son, husband to my future wife. Yeah. And, you know, just be an all-around better person for everybody around me, including myself.
Well, I'm super proud of Michael because, you know, he doesn't give himself enough credit where he's doing certain areas. And so I feel that, you know, he has come very far in his journey, even down to when he was staying with his stepdad and we were talking, you know, for him to be around a certain environment where they were drinking and offering him drinks, and for him to still stick it out and be like, nah, I'm going to be sober. This is where I'm trying to go. Like, I'm done with that other lifestyle. You know, I've really seen him come really far. Even like what you were just saying, like you stopped smoking cigarettes. Like he did all of that around the same time. And those are two very hard things to just stop cold turkey, and he definitely stopped smoking cigarettes cold turkey. It took him a couple times, but then the last time he just.
So if any of y'all are trying to quit smoking, what always worked for me, I don't know why, was sunflower seeds. Don't ask me. I think it just kind of kept my mouth busy or something. But that's what helped me. That's what made me quit.
Yeah. One more thing I want to bring up, as far as what Michael has planned that he's doing or that he wants to do in the future. He has his I can't even talk. He has his weight loss journey that he's going on, but another thing that he would like to do, can I share it?
Yeah.
Okay, just because I ain't really think to ask you first, but anyways. So he would love to become a fitness coach. And one of the things that we kind of talked about was, him helping people that are starting over, that may have come from addiction and, may have gained some weight or whatever. Like, he kind of wants to become that coach to help them get back on track and help them lose their weight after, their alcohol journey or whatever journey. And I really feel like that is a very specific niche that he's going to do really well in, because he's very knowledgeable when it comes to, like, how to lose weight, the health stuff, like all that other stuff, because he used to bodybuild. He didn't throw that out there, but he used to be a bodybuilder back in the day, apparently, And so he has all of this knowledge on that. And I told him, I'm like, babes, you would be really good at helping people that are where you were, that have now become sober, and they're like, look, I'm trying to get back down to size. I'm trying to, create a new life for myself, But that's in the future. I just wanted to bring that up because you didn't say it.
Absolutely. But look, guys, there's nothing but love. And thank you guys so much for the positivity that y'all have commented on our videos. We are loving it, by the way. We are checking our videos like every day just to see it go up. And I'm like, yes.
And we're trying to respond to every single comment,
absolutely.
So that's one thing that we want to make sure that we do. We want to show you guys support as well, especially if you took the time to comment on our video. We want to make sure that we show the same love to you guys.
Amen.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. That was Michael's journey. I try not to say too much because this is really like his video, and I'm just here for like moral support type thing,
I'm glad you're here though.
Yeah, because you love me and stuff.
I love you and stuff.
Well, we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.